Okay, today we're going to be learning another technique. This effect is called the grunge effect. And you've seen it probably in some different magazines or ads, things like that. So it takes a picture like this and then it makes it grungy or gritty. It makes it sharper, increases the contrast, and anyway, this is called the grunge effect. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with this picture here, and I'll show you a number of steps that we can take to achieve that effect with a photo through Photoshop. So first, choose a picture, and you'll open that photo, whatever photo you're going to do the effect to, open it in Photoshop. And then, of course, we're going to start by making a copy of that layer, duplicate layer. I'm going to teach you a shortcut to do that though. Instead of doing duplicate layer, you can just do Command J. Think of the word jump. You want to make a copy of it, jump above it. So that's a quick way to make a copy of a layer. Select the layer, Command J, and it'll make a copy. Or you can right click or control click and do a duplicate copy. So once we have that copied, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and no, not curves. We'll go Image, Adjustments, Levels. That's what we'll do first. So in levels, what this does is this changes the highlights, the midtones, and the darks, the darkest levels. So we're going to move the darks up and just crank those up a little bit. So that way we add more darks. I'm going to move it maybe to about 21. So that's the first step. And then we're also going to do Image, Adjustment, Curves. And we're going to make a little slight S curve, so that'll crank up the highlights a little bit and punch out the darks just a little bit more as well. So we've done levels and curves so far. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of this layer, Command J to jump, and we are going to do Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. And we're going to take out the saturation so this layer is totally black and white. And then we're going to adjust this one even more with curves. We're going to make another S curve on top of that to really punch out those darks. And now this layer and the layer below it we want to combine together. So the top layer, we're just going to decrease the opacity a little bit so that black and white layer is showing through the color layer, or vice versa, the color layer showing through the black layer. And find a percentage that looks about right, and I'm going to make it about 70%, I think. It looks pretty good. And the next thing we want to do is we want to focus on the eyes, and so I'm going to make a mask on this layer, and we're going to switch these colors, get your paintbrush, and we're going to take out this effect around the eyes because we want the eyes to remain colorful. So I'm going to poke a hole right there for that eye. A little too far. I don't want to get the whites of the eye, just the iris. So the color of the eye right there. And then I'll do the same thing on the other eye. So instead of making that part more black and white, the eyes will still have color. So that'll put more focus and emphasis on the eyes right there. So now what we're going to do is highlight that layer and the layer below it and push control click, merge those layers. And what we want to do next is duplicate it again, Command J, make a copy of that layer, jump on top, and then we're going to do Image, Adjustments, Filter, go to Other, and High Pass. So right there we want High Pass, and this is a way to really increase detail. If you want to show detail for something and really highlight that detail, make it really sharp and really crisp, which is what we want to do, then High Pass is a good way to do that. So I'm going to choose something that looks pretty sharp, pretty good here. So I'll do about 14.4 for my radius. You find what looks right for your picture. Click OK. And now what we're going to do is change the blending mode. So we'll go down and do Soft Light. And now that makes everything sharper and more in focus. But we're going to do another layer mask here. because we want to emphasize just certain parts of the face, the main part of the face and some of this hair, the eyebrows, the lips, the nose, and not so much the things on the edges. So with that layer mask selected, I'm going to choose Command I, and that will invert the layer mask and turn it all black. So now none of this effect is showing through. I'm going to switch the colors over here with my paintbrush, and now I'm painting on the layer mask. If I paint white on the layer mask, it's going to make it show through in those areas. So blending mode's normal, opacity 100%, but I'm going to make this brush really soft. And maybe I'll turn the opacity down just a little bit so I can do a couple layers. It doesn't want me to change the brush size for some reason, so I'll do it right here. Okay, so now I'm going to reveal this effect in the areas where I want that effect to show. So definitely the eyes, the forehead, the nose, and the mouth right there. So now it's really sharp, really grainy in those areas. And once I've done that, I'm going to select both of these layers and control click, and we'll merge the layers again. And the next thing we want to do is darken the background and darken the edges a little bit. So a simple way to do that is to make a copy of this layer. So again, I'm going to do Command J, make another copy of that layer. So that's copying everything we've got so far. And now this layer, I'm just going to change the blending mode to multiply. And it's going to combine those two layers. You see it darkened everything up. We're going to use the layer mask again, and we're going to this time paint the effect out of the areas we don't want it. So I still want the face to be highlighted, so I have black selected with the paintbrush on my layer mask, and now I'm going to block out this effect in the areas where I don't want it to be too dark. So I'll go around like this and just lighten up the center areas of this image. But we're going to leave the other areas around the edges are going to be dark, and that's what we want. So I'll make sure I got everything in here. Okay. And the last thing we can do, we'll combine these layers again. Merge layers. And last thing is I'm going to do one last adjustment of hue and saturation and just make sure I have it where I want it. I think I'm going to go to the blues, and I'll make those eyes, bring those eyes out just a little bit more. And for everything on the master channel, I'm going to take the saturation down just a tiny bit so it's a little more black and white. And there's the grunge effect. So you can see the difference. That's before, after. So there you go, grunge effect. Have fun.